Call to order the March meeting of the Danville Board of Education. Welcome everyone here tonight. Is there a motion to approve the meeting agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor of the motion, as stated, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Next, we move on to reports and presentations. Are there any comments from the board members tonight?
I just have two quickly. I had the pleasure of attending the 100th birthday of baseball in Danville, at Danville High School. So they had a nice celebration, and they had, unfortunately, none of the original members were there. So that was discouraging, but the 2015 team was there, of course. And so my hat's off to baseball at Danville High School. They found a team picture, baseball and football, at the old superintendent's office, stuck in a shelf or a counter or something, and it's the original photos. So the baseball wants to try to find the oldest living baseball player for Danville High School in Danville. So if anybody has any clue who that might be, please call the board office.
Ed, were you a baseball player? Would that be you?
No, I'm way too young.
And then also I was able to attend on the 10th the Forensic Spotlight. Wow, what a group of seniors. It was wonderful. It was in the Gravely Hall. They each were so talented, and I was just so impressed. I wish I could do that. The song and dance, I know I can't, but the rest of it, as far as how their ability to speak publicly and to cover topics that was very controversial on some things, which was really good, because I called that Wake Up Danville, and I wish all of y'all could see that. So it was very good. So it was my honor to be at both things. Thank you.
Anyone else? We've had a lot of activities winding down. The basketball season ended in exciting fashion. I was this weekend with the academic teams in Louisville, and they represented us very well, and there are a lot of spring sports that are starting up, so it's busy time, just gets busier from now to the end of the school year. So we thank all the kids who are participating, all the coaches who are helping out, and all the parents who are driving miles and miles to get to all these events. Next on the agenda is the superintendent's report.
Since you guys covered the extracurriculars, let me do the co-curriculars. This week and next week begins the Bate Middle School round of performance-based assessment tests. The 8th grade will be this week, focusing on projects in science, language, arts, and social studies. And next week will be 7th grade, focusing on math and science. These are the opportunities where students have taken a very different approach to ways of demonstrating what they know and are able to do. So if you've not had the chance yet to sign up to help score, we'd love for all volunteers to join us for those. Discovery Days at Toliver is forthcoming. Maybe Ron will address that when he takes the microphone. This is another opportunity for students to look at learning outside of the traditional patterns, and in that same form, our high school will have intercession in a week, and the course offerings for that are far beyond the normal courses of math, science, social studies, and language arts. Everything from robotics to gardening. Even I saw some cooking opportunities and just a gamut of skills and opportunities for students to explore education in a very different way. In that same level of difference, we have a team from Danville traveling to Washington, D.C. tomorrow to be part of a convergence policy conversation. Convergence is an organization that brings together folks from differing viewpoints. This one is focusing on education, and Danville was both auditioned and invited to participate to describe and discuss what the next century of education is to include. We are one of only 2 school districts in the state of Kentucky invited to participate, and are excited about being able to take our experiences and lessons learned and outlook into that conversation. Meanwhile, our SPDMs are working hard on staffing and budgeting, as this is the key season for that. Allocations have been given out, and we are carefully working with each group to make sure that they are set for academics for next year. It's amazing how far in advance we often have to plan our educational processes. And as mentioned, there's been lots of exciting things going on in the Danville schools. If you have not yet signed up to follow us on Twitter or Facebook, you really should. That's the fastest and best way to see all the different students and the things which things are going on. And in addition, on our website, we now have a new bi-monthly feature where we're taking different pieces of the district. This time was our JSA group out of the high school to a more in-depth analysis to see just the kind of neat things that Danville students are involved in throughout the district, state, and far beyond. Thanks.
All All right, next are celebrations of excellence.
Good evening. I'll go ahead and expand on what Dr. Luke was talking about as far as Discovery Days. Each year, annually, our students get an opportunity to participate in 2 different events during their enhancement period. Students, we have community members come in, parents, whatnot. This year, we've taken a different approach. We actually have it student-led. We have 9 sets of 5th graders who are going to have adults there to help them. But it's just that whole concept of getting them ready for that whole gateway presentation. Actually, the hard part about next week is if you want to come in and see Mayhem at its best before the spring break, we actually have our gateway interviews going on simultaneously. So it's going to be a budgeting, time management nightmare, but we can do it here. I didn't want to get let this opportunity pass without recognizing 2 ladies in our school. It's the District Conservation Art recognition. They also have a writing component, and Miss Elaine Hearn was recognized this year of the Will County Danville School as the elementary teacher of the year. Raymond Houston, a 4th grader here at Toliver, placed first at our school, but of the 608 applicants, there were 608, what's the word I'm looking for?
Entries.
Thank you. She finished 3rd in the entire district. So we just wanted to take the opportunity to recognize her. Yes. You get to get a picture.
It's a modeling crew.
Y'all got it?
All right, good.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Ballard. Next is the report of our Family Resource Centers.
Thank you. Mr. Becker has a couple things he's going to pass around to you guys. The full page is not a complete annual report, but it is our report for this current school year up until the end of January. And I'm not going to sit here and read the whole thing to you, but it kind of describes my responsibilities as a Family Resource Center. But at the bottom, I want you to take note on all the numbers. Those are the activities and the different things that we've done across the 3 elementary schools for this school year so far. Some big numbers. And I would like to stress that we, myself and my 2 liaisons at Hogsett and at Toliver, and I'm at Jenny Rogers, doing all this kind of work at Jenny Rogers, we have to account for every single thing we do for a family or for a child. We provide a pair of socks, a pair of shoes, a meal. If we refer them to someone for some assistance, we have to document every single thing that we do. Now, I'm not going to stand up and tell you that we're perfect and we get everything in, because some days are so crazy. We're going home and we're trying to figure out what all did we do today. Did we get it all documented? But that's what these numbers represent. And all these numbers fall back into these components at the top that we have to target as a Family Resource Center. This is what the law says we have to do for our families. And on the back of it, I just kind of highlighted some of the programs that we offer in the course of a year. Sometimes it's more than this. So on the left-hand side, Families First activities, these are some of the things that we provide throughout the school year across all 3 elementary schools. And on the right-hand side, referrals and assistance. These are all the different agencies that we work with, whether we're providing a service or we're referring our families for assistance. And we are a referral agency, and I think that that's where a lot of folks kind of get confused about the Family Resource Center. We are a referral agency, but we're better than that. We want to do more than refer. So if we can provide the service or we can directly give them what they need, we're going to do that, then we're going to refer. So we don't refer first 9 times out of 10. We're going to try to fix it for them first. So that's normally what we do. And then at the bottom, it kind of shows some of our funding. And our main grant, our Family Resource Center grant, is $77,701. And that pretty much takes care of a couple people's salaries. So we don't have a lot of extra money there to do a whole lot of anything with. So we have to find other ways to do what we need to do for our families. So we depend on our donations. And our donations were down a little bit this year, probably by about $2,000. So far this year, we've taken in $5,900 for donations. And then the other 3 things there are just miscellaneous grants that we have. We have a grant through Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky, and that's the one where we offer parenting classes. And I'm going to spotlight that one for you all. That's the one I decided I wanted to talk about a little bit more tonight. And then the grant we get through the cabinet for $50,000. That's our early childhood grant. And that was actually a $25,000 grant, and based on the work that we've been doing for the last couple of years, they decided to, I asked for laptops. I said, buy my staff laptops. And they called me and said, we're going to do you better than that. We're going to double your grant. So we were excited to be able to do that, so we were able to hire another person to help in that program. And then the FEMA, that's just some emergency food funds that we get through Bluegrass Community Action Partnership. So that's how we were able to buy food for our families. So you can read through this, and if you have any questions, feel free to call me or email me, and I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have about that report. And it'll be a full report at the end of June, and I'll be glad to send it out to you so you can see what we've done for the year. Okay? All right, and then the brochure that you got, this is the Prevent Child Abuse grant. It's called Nurturing Parenting. And this is a grant that we provide to Bull County and surrounding counties for parenting classes. We have a lot of parents who just need some parenting classes. And I won't brag, I won't toot our horn again, but it seems that right now in the area, we are the most popular as far as parenting classes go, because we are serving folks from Lincoln County, Garrett County, Mercer County, Anderson County, Jessamine County, Fayette County. Folks are coming from all over to take this class, in part because it's free. But the Department for Community-Based Services is looking at this program, and they know that it's research-based. They've taken some of these trainings themselves. They know what this training, what's involved, so they know that it's a good curriculum that we're using, and they have to come 13 weeks. So folks can go to some places and go one night, walk out with a certificate and say, I completed my parenting class, I'm ready to get my kids back home, and I just don't like that philosophy. I don't believe in that. Some of them need more than 13 weeks. So we give them as much as we can give them in 13 weeks. So that's what this is all about. That class actually meets on Monday nights. It's meeting right now, so I'm going to have to leave from here and go right back there. But right now we have a class of 30 folks in there. Unfortunately, this class we don't have any kids, which is unusual. We usually have kids because we like to work with the parents and with the kids together so that we're making sure the parents are learning the strategies and practicing those strategies with us present. And the sad thing with this class and that many folks, all those children have been removed from their homes, so the parents are not allowed to bring those children with them to the class. So that's a sad thing about this. If we don't have the kids there, we can't make sure that this is working for our parents. So that's what this one is all about. Again, look through this brochure. If you have any questions, feel free to holler at me. We do 2 classes, normally 2 classes a year, 13 weeks. The demand is so high that usually I do a summer class, watered down, without the meals and without the child care and those kinds of things. I'll do the summer class for 12 weeks, just to get folks in so that they don't have to wait till August to take the class. You have any questions about either one of these things? It's a lot of information in both of these, but I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Any questions?
Okay.
It clearly represents a lot of work too, so we appreciate what you and your colleagues do to get this done. And just from passing by that Monday night program, it feels like it's always busy out there, and I
It
see
is.
you kind of going in and out.
It
You
is.
having to deal with that every Monday night, and
It is.
that's a great opportunity for people, and I know that you do that work.
It is, and it's a commitment, but we're committed. We're committed to our family, so. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Sounds
you.
nice. There's a written arts and humanities report that's included in the meeting documents that you'll be able to reference. Next on the agenda is the personnel report. Any questions on the personnel report that's submitted in there? So we'll take action. And next on the agenda then is our guests from KSA who are here tonight to tell us a little bit about the new superintendent training and evaluation program.
I'm Rhonda Caldwell from the Kentucky Association of School Administrators, and home to 3,000 school administrators across the state of Kentucky, but also home to the statewide induction program for our new superintendents. So tonight, myself and Dr. Jan Lance, who's also part of our team, is here to share a little bit with you about the onboarding program for our new superintendents. And the program is in its third year, and so not only your superintendent has been a part of it this year, but also your board chairman, Mr. Lonnie Harp, is also a part of the work. The onboarding program has three major components. The first is what we call an ILP team, and that ILP team is an onboarding team that provides wraparound support for the new superintendent 24/7. So there are four folks who make up that team. The first one is obviously Dr. Look. The second one is an executive coach, who is Mr. Phil Eason. The third person is a mentor, Mr. Floyd Randolph from Somerset Independent Schools. And the fourth person is Dr. Jan Lance here, who is what we call our ILP coordinator. And so the ILP team is the first component of the program. The second component is a very stringent and lengthy piece of curriculum that is mandated by law that all new superintendents receive. And then the third part of the program is actually the ILP, or the Individualized Learning Plan. And that particular plan is all about growth, and it's growth that comes over time. And so, you know, we have point of entry, and working very, very hard, but delighted to support Dr. Look here tonight. It is actually part of the program that his executive coach and mentor would be here as guests, just as part of the support for him. And as it turned out, I believe you guys had to reschedule meetings a couple of times, so we couldn't get him here tonight, so you got two of us for the price of one. And but it's especially my pleasure to introduce to you Dr. Jan Lance, former Nelson County Superintendent. She is an award-winning superintendent, but most importantly, she has been with us from day one. The program is in its third year. It's an old model that was actually built in the early 1990s, and a program that became stale, filled with paper and pencil tests. It was all about the technicalities of the job. It was not focused on the leadership of the job. So the program that Dr. Look is in, it is in its third year, but it's still new, and we still all have a lot of learning to do together. And so, Lonnie, thank you to you for allowing us to be here to share. And Dr. Lance, I believe it's your turn. So.
Thanks so much for allowing me to come this evening. This is a real joy for me, because this is where it really happens. This is the brain trust of the Danville schools. The school board and the superintendent together give the direction that's necessary so that young people can be all that they can be. And that's a critical piece in today's society as they move into the future, and their future in Danville and their future in the world. What you've decided to do is to adopt this onboarding process for Dr. Look as your evaluative mode. Next year, you would have been in a position where you would have either had to have done so, or you would have had to come up with your own evaluative process. But I think very wisely, you've chosen to take this process and make this a growth opportunity for your district and for this superintendent. In the past, back in the day, evaluation was an event. It happened probably once a year, sometimes twice a year. You sat there, you checked off all these boxes, and then you kind of turned it in, and somebody went ahead and probably added up all those scores and figured out, oh, this is how we're doing. And we have come to the realization that if young people are going to grow and your district is going to offer the kind of education that it needs to do, then this needs to be a process whereby you are continuously in conversation and communication, and you are continuously looking at your goals as a district, the strengths of the Danville schools, the areas of growth that are necessary, the strengths of the leader that you have chosen, and his growth areas. Every school system has strengths and growth areas, and every person likewise has the same. And so instead of it being an event where you check a lot of boxes, we've moved to a process whereby you have an opportunity to be in deep conversation and dialogue to help this district and this school superintendent to move forward. I know from reading about your district that you are a district of innovation. And what that means is that you have made decisions in the past that caused you to look strategically at where you were heading and the goals and the things that you want to accomplish. So you as a board have already made some determinations about some areas that you want to be focusing toward. Likewise, Dr. Look, at the beginning when he first took the job, did a self-analysis of what he feels are his strengths and what he feels are his growth areas. And all of the new superintendents did that. I have the pleasure of getting all that data and compiling it and taking a look at each freshman class of superintendents. But we also have the opportunity to talk with Keith about where he feels he needs to be growing. And my understanding is that this board chose to do in the middle of the year, in maybe December, a conversation about how things were moving forward. But at this point, it is critical that you as a board look at the instrument that he is utilizing, the 7 standards, the indicators that go with those standards, or sometimes you can call them the practices that you would expect if the standard is moving forward, the practices you'd expect to see from the superintendent. And at the same time, he is uploading into an electronic platform some artifacts that support the kinds of things that he has been doing. Now, what we tend to see in most of our school districts is that each month, a school superintendent will talk with the board about some of the things that have been occurring during the previous month. We listened to Dr. Look talk about some events that had been occurring. My guess is, our hope is, that he has been uploading some of the results of some of those events. I just listened to your Family Resource Center sharing about the things that they are doing. Well, that would be under Standard 6 in terms of collaboration with the community. It would be an outreach. Those would be things that he would be sharing with you or having someone come to share with you. And so what he should be building is a compendium of activities, artifacts, documents that he has created or that others have created. In the first year, we asked for a cover page that briefly describes why he thinks that this particular artifact supports Standard 2 or Standard 4, etc. The difference for you now is, in the old days, you just checked and came on through. What we are asking you to do to make this a process that you are going through is we're asking you to highlight those particular standards that you think are the most important for the district and the most important for this gentleman. And he should be reporting to you on a very regular basis how that's coming along. I'll give you a personal scenario from my very first year, which was years ago, okay? I had my evaluation, and of course, because we're all type A personalities, when I got finished with the evaluation and I went home, I wanted to make sure I knew which one was the one they thought that I didn't do the best in. I had done okay, but the one that they thought that I had not performed as well in was an area I just thought I was hot. I mean, I thought I was all over it. Well, first I was mad because I just couldn't believe they didn't know that, because I've been talking about it all year long. And I thought, no. Once I got over my mad, which did take a little while, I began to realize that the fault was mine because I had not been involved in a process whereby I had been sharing. I hadn't been sharing artifacts. I hadn't been sharing data and results. And so consequently, once I kind of got the hang of it, I began to change the way I interfaced with my school board. I think they were happier. They felt better connected. I certainly was happier because it was an ongoing process that was happening all the time. So that's what we're asking you to do at this point. We're asking you to take this document, which is, we call SPGIS. I know you've heard of the Professional Growth Effectiveness Skills. I know you've been part of that piece for the teachers. Well, the superintendents have one with 7 standards. And we want you to be part of that growth for the sake of your district and for the sake of your superintendent. He probably is doing some things in all 7 areas. My guess is, especially if you're a district of innovation, you probably are doing a lot of strategic kinds of things. And so my guess is that you're heavily vested in Standard 1. That would be a guess on my part. Usually going along with that is the very piece that you just saw your family resource person do, the whole collaboration piece. He will not enter the same number of documents for each area. He probably has evidence in all of them, and at the end of the year, you'll look for some of that evidence, but he will be highlighting those arenas that you have set for him and those that he has set for himself. That also gives you a wonderful segue into the following year of, okay, where do we go from here? So it is not a checklist where every check gets the same weight anymore. Clearly, he has responsibilities in all 7 areas. He's the school superintendent. But at the same time, we want to wrap this around him and your district so that this process is meaningful for you for student achievement and for growth. That it isn't just okay, we'll do the checks and then we'll go on. Does that help a little bit? And I wonder if you have some questions for me.
Well, just for everybody's benefit, this is the document that lists the standards and the practices. Rhonda was good enough a few days back to send me an electronic copy of that. I sent it to all the board members today, so it's in everybody's got an electronic version of this that they can look at and discuss or think through. I had a conversation with Jan earlier today. I've talked several times with Rhonda and with Phil Eason, who's not with us tonight. So I feel confident, I think that you guys feel confident too, that I have a decent understanding of how we can take this, match it with our goals, meet with Dr. Look, and come up with kind of the priority areas that we need to make the focus of our evaluation and work from there. So that will be the next step for us, and we'll be working on that. But we really appreciate your all's willingness to kind of help us through this process, because it is a very different type of evaluation system, and we want to do an effective and a complete job with it, so.
From the past 3 years, we have learned that for the new superintendents, it's been very much more rewarding because it opens the dialogue and the conversation, and that's really what is going to move Danville forward. If he's out there on his own, or you're out there and you're not in that strong communicative dialogue mode, then you're not going to do the best that you can do for the students that are in your charge. So this is a wonderful opportunity for growth for you, for Dr. Look, for children.
Anybody have any questions?
I was going to ask, over the 3 years, is there anything that it's trending right now? I mean,
When you say trending, I can go in several directions. One of the things we see are the trends that are occurring, that school boards are asking superintendents to look at more. Certainly the instructional area is very, very strong. Certainly that whole cultural mode seems to be so critical. I believe you're in the middle of the TEL survey right now, and that data is so very valuable. You just need to be a data-driven board. And he is in the process of uploading activities and artifacts that give you some of the data that you will need to make the decisions, and the decisions that he needs to make. So that if it's a process and you're in it all the time, then it just becomes part of the way you do business. It's like back when you first got electricity, you would turn the electric on and everybody would sit around and stare. When you go into a room now, you just flip on the lights. Well, that's really what this is going to become. This is just going to become the way you do business for moving your district forward. And so the trends that if you're a school system that has financial difficulties, well, the trends are very strong in that direction. If you're a district that has political issues and external forces that are operational strongly, then that becomes a driving force. But what's so wonderful is this is tailor-made for you to be and to respond for what is best for your district. And that's why this process is so critical, that no longer is it one size fits all. I think by being a district of innovation, you've kind of declared the things that are important to you, and you've already made that leap forward. So I have a strong feeling I already know what some of that conversation is. Other thoughts?
Thank you so much
Thank you,
for
sir.
coming tonight.
Thank you.
Rhonda, you too, and tell Phil we appreciate his help. Next on the agenda is the item that's reserved for the public. Is there anyone here who would like to address the board? Seeing no one, we'll move forward to the next item, which is the minutes of the previous meeting. Is there a motion?
I move we accept the previous minutes as submitted.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the February 9th and February 23rd meeting minutes as submitted. All in favor of the motion, as stated, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is the finance report. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the financial report as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Campbell?
Yes, thank you. Before I talk about the numbers on the page, just to give you an announcement that our delinquent tax notices will go out this Friday. That means our year is winding up very rapidly. I will send you all an email that gives you the rest of those notification dates on when lists go in the paper, and then when the year wraps up. So I will send those dates to you this week. Now, if you'll turn your attention to the front page of the financial statement, I just want to point out a couple of variances between a year ago and same time period this year, so that you can kind of see why we've got some variances. If you will look at total receipts for the current year, we were at 1.2 million. If you compare that to last year, same time period, we were at 2.4 million. The difference being, this time last year, we receipted in the bond issuance for the Toliver window project. So greatly increased our revenues. Then some differences, if you look at our overall cash balance, we're currently at 9.8 million. This time last year, we were at 9.5. So I just want to point out a couple of the funds on where we have variances. The special revenue fund, that's our grant funds, our restricted funds, and so we are carrying a larger balance this year than last, and that just has to do with cash flow. On the district activity funds, those funds have gradually, completely gotten moved to the district level from the school level. So last year, we were just beginning the process, and that's why we only had 28,000 moved, and now that whole process is fairly well complete. On that same page down at the bottom, just to give you, call your attention to what is reserved, 320,000, that's our I funds for the following 2 years. And then we still have some funds reserved on there for Hogsett gym ceiling. And we do have a solution that we are looking at for that ceiling and doing a little trial and error before we invest those funds. On the next page, I just want to call a couple of items. This is the Fund 1 financial report. So just general fund. If you will look at the omitted property tax line, you will see that this month we received $104,000. That's very unusual. And where that comes from, it dates back to '04 and '05 on Mashusta property valuation. And so after audits are done for corporations, for financials, it may take several years for those things to get resolved. So this year we did receive $104,000, which is not common, but with the needs we have, we can talk about how we would like to apply that. We can talk about it in the next work session, whether it's roof, I funds, we've just got a long list. So then on the expense side, that's the very next page, I want to call attention to the fund transfer line. This year to date, we have transferred $678,000, and that is $322,000 more than last year. So the difference being, when we have had funds reserved on the balance sheet for buses, we had one bus reserved, or for some of our construction projects, when we move those funds in and then transfer them over to, say, the construction fund for expense, it books them in that fund transfer line item. So because that one is such a big variance, I wanted to call it out. So did you all have anything that you wanted to ask a question on? Those were just some big dollar values that I thought you ought to see.
Any questions on the financial report? We have a motion and a second to approve it as submitted. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's approved. Next is the payment of invoices. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the payment of invoices totaling $248,445.20 as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Anything, Joy,
I looked through the list, I didn't see anything unusual. So if you all have questions, I can
any questions from anyone?
try to recall, but
All right. We have a motion and a second to approve the payment of invoices. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Next is the consent agenda. Is there a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. All in favor of the motion as stated, say aye. Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda passes. Next is our discussion of the elementary project redesign. Do we need to move, or are you?
Move
up
on.
here? Okay. This is Eric Steva from Ross Karen Architects, who is here tonight to show us some exciting materials.